this is Ebonygeek. You're always welcome to join me in expanding your knowledge base. Comments are always welcome, and please subscribe. The first picture is of the components in the circuit board. The second is the picture of the components taken out. We see our soldering iron and our board that we're going to be doing. One of the tips that comes with the kit. And we're all ready to go here. As you can see, the LEDs and the housing. We're using the conical tip is the best for electronics to use on circuit boards. Here I believe we're using the chisel tip so far. Now, as you can see my hands position here, I find that the handle is pretty good. The housing with the LEDs inside provides light and also keeps your fingers from slipping forward and possibly getting burnt. With this soldering iron, you want to take a look at how I'm just holding the soldering iron in its place for, I would say, maybe 2 seconds. That's enough heat, and then we're just applying the solder. As you can see, the leads are bent out for this. I believe that's the LED, and that's in order to keep it in place. Here we're clipping the lead. Okay. Make sure to keep your tip tint. That way you'll have better results. Here I'm using solder braid in order to remove some excess solder. And as you can see, the light from the LED housing is shining right there. That's convenient also if you're in a too dark spot. Take particular note to these warnings here. They're very important. If you have to pause the video in order to make sure that you read them, go right ahead. Make sure you're using the right solder. Here I have switched to the conical tip, as you can see. I just find that with the leads and electronics, it just provides me better control. That's just me. Here we're clipping the leads again. I want you to keep in mind that what we're seeing on this video is clips of the soldering, just so we could have a video of the soldering iron in use. Like I said, the handle here is very convenient to me. It keeps my fingers in place. You hit it for a couple seconds with the heat, bring the solder over. There you go. Every soldering iron is different. You'll have to get to know which heat setting your soldering iron works with. As you see here, I'm bending the leads out so that the component will stay in place. And there we go. We're ready to solder. And as I was saying, this is the first time I soldered something in a very long time. So I had some experience, but it was so long ago you could kind of maybe bust me back to newbie status. And as you can see, it didn't take that long for me to get the gist of it again. As you can see right now, we're placing the push buttons. They snap in, so there's no reason to bend the leads on them because they're snapping in. They're meant to be put into a circuit board. Once you snap them in, when you turn them over, they're staying in place. They're not going nowhere. So once you turn the circuit board over, you can solder with confidence that they're going to stay where they're supposed to. Okay. And as you can see, they're where they're supposed to be. It makes for a more simpler way to do it. Bringing the heat over and hitting it with the soldering after a few seconds. And there you go. I was very happy with the soldering iron, especially with doing the circuit board. It made things a lot simpler for me. I had tried another soldering iron at a major electronics store that's supposed to be geared towards electronic type equipment. I was disappointed. That soldering iron pretty much did not work. It did not work with the solder. I was very surprised when I was able to go to Home Depot and just pick up this one, and it worked fine. At this point, it's not very old. You do see a bit of charring on the barrel, but from my experience, that's just what happens when you're using soldering irons because of the heat. If anybody know a way to keep the barrels a little bit more maintained, please let me know. My thing is, as long as the tip is good, I'm fine. And so it really is that simple. Just apply the heat, couple seconds. I would say 2 for this particular solder now for me, and hit it with the solder, and you're good. As long as you have your components placed right, you're fine. I also noticed for when I was doing some of the heads, I would solder one to keep it in place. And then some of the solders that I had, the head was a little bit far, so what I would do is I would just get a hold of the head from the other side of the board, reheat the solder, and let it push in. And then the solder will harden up right away. And that was good for getting it back up there tight. And that was a tip that I was given from someone else. Here I'm not doing that. Here I'm pretty much just doing the soldering. And it didn't go this fast. Like I said, this is clips of what I did, so you could see the use of the soldering. Here we're finishing up. At this point, I have done most of the soldering. At this point, I believe we're just doing some components at the end of the board. It's pretty much done. All that needs to be done is a couple more pins soldered in at this point. Here at this part of the video, you could pretty much see I'm pretty much just holding it. And you can see my finger placements is above the housing. It really makes for a pretty simple way to keep your fingers in place and protect it. the handle was good for me. I find that that's probably one of the best things about this soldering iron is the way the handle is designed that I like the most. And the MakerShield shield that I'm doing, it wasn't all that difficult. Once I figured out where the components went, it was just a matter of soldering it. And they give it to you as a kit. And I'm kind of glad that they do give it to you as a kit. That way you could go ahead and get yourself a little experience on doing some components. It's not hard at all, even if you're a newbie and you're fresh. Just take your time. Here I'm showing how the solders look. I think I did a pretty good job. Could have been better, could have been way better with more experience. But that's how you get to doing things, is by learning by doing. Okay, and this is how it looks completed. The middle part is where you put your proto board, and I'll be showing that in a little bit. Okay, and there you go. It's actually a miniature breadboard. It just sits in there. You can actually, it has tape at the bottom. You could peel that tape and just stick it on there. I decided not to stick it on there because this one is just for testing. And so I'm busting out right now a brand new Uno board. It's a clone. It's from Inland. And so we're just packaging that to use with this ProtorShield. I do have official Arduino Unos. I do so many little projects that I don't want to actually take the Uno board off of those projects, and so it's just simpler for me to buy the clones that's a lot less. I'm not a millionaire. So you're gonna just take this shield. When I'm taking the breadboard off, you're gonna take this shield and you're just gonna stick it on top of the Uno the way they're supposed to go. Make sure to be careful that you don't bend no heads. It fits right in there. Here I'm showing that I got it wired up with an LED. Well, it's actually using an LED on the proto board. I have it wired up so that the LED lights up. The buttons at the end, you can press it and the LED will do different things. That's the point of having a proto board, so that you could wire things up quickly and easily. It's already set up. There's a potentiometer on there and another couple little components that makes things a bit simpler. My first time using a ProtorShield, so that's what I came up with. I apologize if I'm demonstrating wrong. I just didn't really know how to use the ProtorShield at this point. I did find out how to use it later as I experimented a little bit. As a matter of fact, here's showing I have 3 LEDs hooked up to it. And like I said, the breadboard, you don't have to stick it in the middle. You can actually use it. I like using it like this outside of the board. So, thumbs up for the shield, thumbs up for the Weller soldering iron. The 40-watt soldering iron kit from Weller is, I would recommend it. I would truly recommend it. That's a good buy. I am Ebonygeek, and I hope that the information provided has been helpful to you. Please remember to subscribe. Happy building and happy coding.